Good evening and welcome to the June 14th, 2016 school committee meeting. Just for the record, the meeting is being recorded and transmitted via cable television. First item on our agenda tonight is a bittersweet moment that we all go through every year in announcing the retirements and recognizing the folks that, that served the school department for a number of years. And this year we actually are recognizing two people who together have served the school department 70 years. So the first one is the one that's nearest and dearest to the school committee's heart, and that's Myra Vernon. So just a little bit about Myra and what I've been able to observe over the years and some feedback I've gotten from other school committee members and, of course, superintendents in the past. Myra started in Linfield in 1990 as an LMS aide. She worked her way into the superintendent's office, has worked under multiple superintendents, and it's somewhere either 7 or 8. Nine. She has served, counseled, lectured, mentored countless staff members. She has been the backbone of the central office, often referred to as the de facto assistant superintendent. No challenge was too great, no challenge was too small. No crisis was too great, no crisis was too small. It wasn't unusual to hear, "Don't worry, Myra has it under control." Your impact on this district is greater than you'll ever fathom. We thank you for your service and appreciate your time. And Mr. Heyman has a book that I think will serve you well in retirement, Mid-Century Houses, and anybody that knows Myra knows that she has a great affection for architecture and decoration. So.
Thank you,
There you go. Yeah. No lighting needed. The next individual we're going to recognize started in Linfield in 1972, and let it be noted for the record that 2/5 of the school committee wasn't even on this planet in 1972. Like Myra, Mr. Stone, you have served, counseled, lectured, and mentored not only countless staff members, but also countless students, athletes, and families. Your longevity stands alone. 44 years you have taught and coached siblings, children of former students, and perhaps even grandchildren of former students. There's no scoreboard to calculate your impact on this community, but rest assured, it outweighs your accomplishments on the wrestling mat and on the tennis court. Your coaching accomplishments are extraordinary. Over 1,000 wins between wrestling and tennis. 74 seasons coaching varsity sports. I had a chance to reach out to a friend of mine and the former one of your students. And he gave me this quote, which I thought represented you really well. Stoney always had high expectations. When you were successful, he humbled you. When you failed, he encouraged you. No one ever wanted to let him down. So, Mr. Stone, your years of service are remarkable. Linfield is lucky they were able to call you our own. And like Myra, we wish you the best of luck in retirement. And then Mr. Heyman has a book for you as well, Destinations of a Lifetime, which I think takes you around the world.
Jamie, it's got a lot of fun.
And in it says, presented to Craig Stone, in appreciation for your years of dedicated service to the students of Linfield and the Linfield Public Schools, we wish you health and happiness in all your future endeavors. From the Linfield School Committee, dated June 14th, 2016.
Picture.
There's a microphone. I know you want to say something. You have to just turn it on.
When I was a freshman at Springfield College, I had to take oral English, and you had to do public speaking. And I hadn't spoke publicly in a long time. I can remember I was doing a presentation on how to cook a hamburger due to my scout training, and I could feel my knees knocking as I was standing there and up and down. After 74 banquets, my knees don't knock anymore, but I still get a little bit of nervous. In fact, I just left one right now that's going on across the hallway. But I'd like to share a few thoughts with you, and I promise I won't speak as long as I did at my retirement party. I didn't realize that was how long it was until somebody sent me the video. I said, oh my gosh, I might have walked out. In the spring of 1972, while attending the University of Oregon Graduate School, my mother got a call from Archie Allen, who was my supervising teacher at Springfield College when I was student teaching. He asked her if I had a job. It seems he was friendly with Dr. Bernard Huntley at the time, and who was then the superintendent of schools in Linfield. And Linfield was looking for an elementary physical education teacher. I arrived home from Oregon on a Saturday, had an interview on a Tuesday, and was hired on a Thursday all of the same week. Since then, after teaching 44 years and coaching for 41 of them, I've been under the supervision of 9 superintendents, 8 high school principals, 9 athletic directors, 10 elementary principals, and more school committee members than I can count. Regardless, there has always been one constant during all those years, and it is reflected in the Linfield Public Schools mission statement: to support and challenge all students to meet their full potential as individuals and as citizens of the global community. I am and always will be very proud to have been part of that support group, and can only hope that I have somewhat helped to challenge those students to meet their full potential. I have thoroughly enjoyed my teaching experience in Linfield. I have been fortunate to work with supportive school committees, administration, staff, and to work with caring students and parents. I will miss all of it. It was never just a job. It was a lifestyle, and it defined me. Thank you for recognizing me this evening, and giving me the opportunity to work here. Thank you. Back to the banquet.
Next item we have on our agenda is the meeting minutes for approval from May 10th and May 24th. Motion.
Move to approve the minutes from the regular meetings, May 10th and May 24th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next we have presentation from college students.
Thank you. So, as we did last year, we invited 3 college students to come back and tell us about their experience once they have left Linfield High School. We feel like we have prepared students well, we have sent them on their way, and it would be nice just to hear from them the successes that they've had after they left our little bubble, some of the things that we did well to prepare them, and some of the things that perhaps they were challenged with. So at this point, I'm going to ask David Sonovitz, Adam Collegeros, and Katie Shinnick to the front table, please. And David is a graduate of the class of 2014 from Linfield High School. He is currently at Mount Ida College. Adam graduated in 2014 as well. He is at Merrimack College, and Katie graduated in 2015, and she is now at Quinnipiac College. So I invite you to the table. I welcome you here, and Katie, you can begin.
So I had a really positive experience. I thought that Winfield definitely prepared me well, especially in like the math and science department. My bio lab professor, we were talking about like what we dissected, and I was like, oh, like we did the frog, we did the sheep's brain, and I was like, oh, we did a cat. She was like, oh, you must have went to a wealthy high school, but like, it was just, I felt really prepared because we did a pig, but I just thought that was funny. And then like, definitely all the, like, even if we weren't learning the same subject matter, like, we were learning the same way that I was taught here, so I thought that that was beneficial.
Thank you. Anything that you feel like that you were challenged by?
Other than roommates, which is out of your control, that was the biggest adjustment. I had 3 go in and out on us.
It's all part of growing up.
Yep.
Thank you, Katie. Adam?
Hello. Yeah, Linfield, they prepared us very well, I think. I'm at Merrimack right now, and I'm in the same major I started in, mass communication, working on a double major with fine arts and digital design as well. And the classes we took here, I mean, it made it very easy to transition to college. The writing, I felt like a lot more advanced than everyone else, because like they peer-reviewed papers and stuff like that, and everyone was like, wow, like, where'd you go to school? And I'm like, oh, Linfield. But yeah, everything. Like she said, roommates. Other than that, like, had one good one, 2 sort of like not good ones. But I commuted the first year, and I just lived there this year, and I was more than ready to live there my freshman year. I guess I wanted to wait it out a little bit, but yeah, I was more than adequately prepared.
And David?
So when I left Winfield, I was on a set path, and I was heading up to Vermont, and I was majoring in electrical engineering. I finished through my freshman year, and then in October, I decided that I was going to step back, and I actually withdrew for the semester. I went home, I got a part-time job working at home, and then I ended up transferring for the spring semester to Mount Ida College. I changed my school and my major to commercial photography, and I do love the program at Mount Ida College. It's been a very good transition, and I know that Linfield has definitely helped me, because half the English courses that I've had to take were a walk in the park. Writing a 5-paragraph essay is secondhand nature to me now, and I feel like the science courses that I took while I was still at UVM were more than enough to prepare anyone for what we needed to do in the real world for college. And then when I had to actually transfer from school to school, it really made a difference, because when I had to request transcripts from high school, of course, the staff were more than willing to help me through that. So even coming back, they still welcome you with open arms. So it's a good thing to know.
Any questions or thoughts from the committee for the 3 college students?
I'm just curious what some of the biggest challenges were transitioning from Linfield to the schools.
Well, I changed my major, and that was such a surprise to me. I was in occupational therapy. I was in the 5.5 years master's program. I was committed to it, and not that like any of it was like Winfield control. I just had no idea that like what I was kind of getting myself into, because the patients would come in and you couldn't like fix them. Like that you would come in, you'd make their quality of life better, but you couldn't like send them on their way. So I switched to business management, and I just kind of dove in head first. I don't know what I want to do with it, but I like the health science field. I like the business field, so that was like a big challenge for me. I didn't know I was going to change my major.
Yeah, there weren't too many like real challenges. I mean, other than like finals, midterms week, I felt very prepared. I got more work in high school, I think, than I did in college in some of my classes. So I mean, it was almost like it was a step down from taking like 6 classes a day, because the way you can manage your schedule now, where you can do it how you can control it, I think it makes it a lot easier, actually. So.
Yeah, I definitely feel that above all, a lot of what my experiences in classrooms were throughout Linfield were based around the fact that come for extra help, go see a teacher if you have questions. And when I struggle with some of my coursework, I definitely emailed the teacher, I talked to them in class, and they were all more than happy to open up their office and work with you for anything that you needed help with. So when you use the help that you get from one place to another, it does make a huge difference. And I'm really glad that Linfield did that for everyone.
Okay, thank you so much for coming back and sharing your experiences with us, and we wish you well over the summer and as you begin your next year in college. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so next on our agenda, we have, we've had a very special relationship this year with our friends at the North Shore Educational Consortium. And we've had a special buddy program that has taken place at Huckleberry Hill School in the second grade. And I'm going to ask Brian Bemis, the principal of Huckleberry, to please come to the table and introduce the folks who will be talking about that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. And thank you, school committee and Ms. Tremblay, for allowing Huckleberry Hill to get involved with the kids at the Kevin O'Grady School who came down and were our buddies this year. I want to thank the presenters that are here tonight: Kathleen DeRosa, second grade teacher at Huckleberry Hill, Stephanie Couillard, and Sarah Rowe from the Kevin O'Grady School, and also Fran Rosenberg, the executive director of the North Shore Educational Consortium, for, I guess, her approval to allow this to happen. I got an email last summer from Stephanie, and I was thrilled to get the email, and I jumped at the chance to start up what would be known as the buddy program between Huckleberry Hill and the Kevin O'Grady School. I had no idea what it was going to look like, how we were going to do it, and I don't know if Stephanie did either, but we were both very, very excited about it. And when I shared it with the second grade staff at Huckleberry Hill, immediately they were thrilled and wanted to know how they could get involved. And Kathleen DeRosa was definitely the leader from the second grade team at Huckleberry Hill, and I know Kathleen and Stephanie and Sarah worked very hard in preparation for the weekly visits that when the Kevin O'Grady buddies came to us. They spent a lot of time at school, but most of their time was spent outside of school, getting together, meeting up somewhere in between Beverly and Linfield to plan for the kids every Thursday. So I thank you very much for your effort with this. I want to thank the entire second grade team at Huckleberry Hill, the entire staff at Kevin O'Grady that came down every Thursday with the 2 bus loads, and I know it was not easy, although I think they worked out a routine over the year to get the kids to Huckleberry Hill. And I want to thank all the second grade students that participated in the program at Huckleberry Hill. Phenomenal group of kids, and they were fantastic. And I'm not going to steal too much of the teachers' thunder when they present, but I'm sure you'll be blown away when you see the slideshow that they have prepared for you. And I want to thank our buddies from the Kevin O'Grady School too. The impact of the buddies, what the buddies have had on Huckleberry Hill is it's immeasurable. I think I think we've had a positive impact on your students, but the impact that your students have had on our entire school, staff, all the students, kindergarten through 4th grade, the relationship that those second grade buddies and the students from Kevin O'Grady was remarkable and inspired us and will continue to inspire us. We look forward to your visits every Thursday. We look forward to continuing the program in the future, and it's something those second grade students, our Huckleberry Hill students, will never forget. So I want to thank you, and I want to invite Stephanie, Sarah, and Kathleen to the podium to present their slideshow.
Thank you very much for having us here. Thank you, Brian. This turned into something much bigger than we all thought it would. I mean, we all benefited in so many ways, including the teachers. I'm glad no one was there to watch on the last day. My goodness, it was like, it was just a very emotional day to say goodbye, and we're thrilled that we're going to have this connection, hopefully for years to come, because I think both sides gained. We can't even list all the things, and I'm hoping that some of the slideshows, some of the kids' words will kind of help you out with that. But thank you for having us here, and it's been a pleasure working with these two. They're wonderful teachers, so I feel like I've been blessed to do that. So thank you.
So just to give you a little background information, I'm Stephanie and the teacher of my classroom, and this is Sarah. She's the speech pathologist who works in my room every day. Our classroom is made up of 7 students with a variety of special needs. 6 of the students are nonverbal, meaning that they don't speak at all and have to use other methods of communication. 5 of them are in wheelchairs and don't walk at all. And they have a variety of other special needs, including visual impairments, hearing impairments, cognitive impairments. And while we're able to provide lots of adaptations and accommodations for them, the one thing that Sarah and I always talk about not being able to provide is the opportunity for them to interact with other typically developing kids their own age. And a lot of our kids don't have that opportunity. So we came up with this idea that we wanted to partner up with an elementary school in a way that would benefit both of the schools. And we were so fortunate that Brian contacted us and that the Huckleberry Hill School and the second grade teachers were ready to take that on with us. It really, as Brian said, took a village every single Thursday to get to the Huckleberry Hill School. We brought our entire classroom team, including paraprofessionals, therapists, myself. We had to bring a nurse with us. We needed 2 buses. Brian was great at accommodating us with a space to use at the school. And Fran and Tom were both so supportive in providing us with the extra staffing that we needed in order to make this happen. And sometimes it took 2 villages, depending what the activity was. There were times when we had to bring our physical therapist with us in order to do one lesson that we planned where we wanted our kids to be able to move around with all the kids. We had 2 more vanfuls of all the equipment needed in order to allow our kids to be able to walk with other typically developing children. And we also had 66 very patient second graders who were so eager to meet our kids and really had to understand how hard changing buddies would be for our kids, and they were so patient to wait for the opportunity to meet with our kids. We brought everything but the kitchen sink with us. We literally packed up our entire classroom and brought chairs, equipment, wheelchair trays, devices, communication devices, adapted materials, change of clothing. We packed up our classroom every Thursday morning in order to make this happen. So that's just a little background information on how that came to be.
Okay, so we decided the first thing you guys needed to know was who our kids are. They're a little different from other kids you might know, but we thought the best way to do that would be to introduce them to you through your kids. So we are going to let the buddies tell you about our kids. This is Dino.
My buddy is Taya. She walks in a wheelchair. I know how she talks to me because she uses a device, and if someone doesn't look the same as you and your friends, that doesn't mean they can't do some of the same things as you.
And I think in the interest of time, we're just going to show one buddy per student. If there's time later and people want to see it, that's fine, but for now, let's stick with one. And here's Wisdom, and Colin is going to tell us about Wisdom.
My buddy's name is Wisdom, and we both like bubbles. That's why I'm his friend. And he moves around in his wheelchair, and he smiles to make us know he's happy, and he clicks his button when he wants something.
This is Alexis, and we're going to hear about Alexis from Shravia.
My buddy's name is Alexis. She moves around in a walker to walk, and she communicates with her eyes on a special computer, and she moves her eyes. The thing I learned about Alexis is that even though she's different, she has her own way of doing stuff, and she's really fun to work with still.
And here is Rocco to tell you about Zachary.
My buddy's name is Zach. He communicates by looking at which object he wants. He is in a wheelchair. His favorite color is red, and he has a dog racket. My name's Rocco.
And here's Matthew to tell you about Andrew.
Oh,
Oops.
or not.
Just right click or left click to go back. Yeah, previous.
There we go.
My buddy's name is Andrew, and he moves around in his wheelchair. And to communicate, he uses his iPad and his communication book. And what I learned about him is that he's really nice.
And here's Fiona to tell you about Sage.
My buddy's name is Sage. She is blind. The thing that I know, like she knows who is which from me. She has special bracelets that she knows which is which. And when she moves us around, she moves with this special machine. And we walk her down like somewhere, like to the gym to find some like things. And she's really fun to play with. One time we danced together, and we also went the rainbow dance, so I was helping her do the rainbow dance.
So you'll hear a little bit more about Rainbow Dance later. And here is Chloe to tell you about McKenna.
My buddy's name is McKenna, and so how she communicates is she uses sign language, but she can't do all the moves because she doesn't have the fine motor skills. And how she walks is she knows how to walk, but she just doesn't like walk the correct way. So we have to hold her hand to make sure she doesn't run away. And the thing I like about her is that she is just like us, and we have to treat her the exact same way.
Okay, so what we did was, after a lot of problem solving and brainstorming, we started out with some getting to know you activities. One day we had our kids bring in their favorite things. The next day, or the next time we met, we had the Huckleberry Hill kids bring their favorite things. So the kids got to know each other and got to see what everybody was into. And then after that, we started working on some empathy lessons to try and help the kids better understand our kids. It's difficult even for adults to really understand what our students are perceiving in the world. So to help the kids, we did a number of lessons around this is how we speak, this is how we play, this is how we move. We had kids work on activities where they couldn't use their voices at all. They could only speak the way that their buddies spoke, so they had to use eye gaze or switches or devices. We did some activities where we had students blindfolded and they experienced what art is like when you're blind and you can't really see the pictures that you're making. We had kids use their elbows or mittens to play games just to help them see what it's like if you don't have the fine motor skills to do some of the things that they can do so easily. And we worked on being in a group and thinking about others. And that was really an adventure. The first day that we started this, the first thing we asked them to do was we said, we're gonna stand back, we're gonna let you guys make a circle. We just want a circle with all the kids in it. And they immediately got into a circle. And all of our kids were outside the circle. And we said, look around, are all the kids in the circle? And they said, yes. And we said, we have a lot of work to do. But by the end, they were so good. They're able to get into a circle very quickly now. They know how to move our kids' wheelchairs and guide our kids to where they need to be. We did a parachute activity, which was part of that rainbow dance activity that Fiona was talking about. And all the kids got to throw the parachute up in the air and run under it. And that was really fun for second graders. But not one of them left their buddy behind. They went and got the kids' wheelchairs and took them under with them. And then we knew we had some success. The only thing they forgot was when they came back out from under the parachute, they forgot their buddies. And then we heard, oh no, we left the buddies, and they all ran back and got them. They also, once they got to know their buddies, we did meet the rest of the second grade kids. They all came in and made story boxes for our kids, which is a way of doing stories that includes objects so that our kids who can't look at the pictures can still be a part of the experience. And they were wonderful. They were all wonderful and just really sweet kids. And then mostly we just had fun. So did we achieve our goals? Well, this is a sad picture. This was the first day. As you can see, most of Huckleberry's kids are in a group over here, and my friend Zach is kind of off on his own. And that was kind of how all our kids were in the beginning. They just aren't used to being with other kids. They're used to kind of staying in their own little bubble. But by the end, as you can see, Zach got very comfortable with his friends, and his friends got very comfortable with him. They were able to just kind of play together. And this is Alexis. She also got to really like her buddies. She talks about them all the time with her communication device, and every time we drove up every Thursday, she was yelling hi before we even got out of the bus. And learning group skills from peer models was another thing we had hoped to achieve. As you can see in this picture, McKenna was not very good at being a part of a group. We had a little chair that she sat in that had a seatbelt to help her remember where to be and how she was supposed to be acting. She made progress with these kids that we would never have seen at our school without them. You can see she can sit and be a part of a group and participate. She also walked down the hallway with only kids as her companions. That has not happened before. And the coolest thing that McKenna learned from watching the other kids every day, I would ask them what they learned, and they would all shoot their hands up in the air, and she learned it. And that's not something that a lot of our kids do learn, and now she uses it all day, every day. If she wants a turn, she knows how to let us know, and it's very cool. And developing self-confidence was another goal of ours. It's hard to tell in these pictures, but in the beginning, the picture on the left, Taya was really overwhelmed by the kids and really we felt kind of knew that she was different from them and really didn't know what to do. She kind of just shut down. On the right side, you can kind of see she's smiling a little bit. She got so confident in interacting with the kids that she started interacting in the large group. When I would say, who has an idea about this? She would start talking with us. So that was very cool to see.
Another one of the goals that we had was experiencing positive and motivating interactions. At the beginning, this is Andrew, and he would use his communication book if he wanted something, if he wanted a book, if he wanted a movie, but he really wasn't interested in using it to express himself or interact with other people. And as you can see that by the end, I mean, he was playing with his buddies, he was laughing, he started using his book to answer questions, to say hi, bye, how are you? And now he does that not only with his buddies, but also with the teachers and other staff and people around our school. And you can see, like, he definitely was experiencing positive interactions. He absolutely became friends with his buddies. And the last goal we had is that we really just wanted our kids to develop comfort and trust in other children. At the beginning, Wisdom, he couldn't even be in the room without having a staff person like making eye contact with him directly right there. He'd become so anxious, he would just cry the whole time. If he was near just kids and he couldn't see an adult, he would just start crying. And by the end, he was able to play with the other kids. He was able to trust them that it was okay if there wasn't an adult right there. And honestly, his buddies really learned how to comfort him and to console him. And at the end, there was one day where he got nervous and he started crying, and simultaneously, both of his buddies just sneezed without looking at each other, without saying anything, because they know he likes sneezing. And he burst out laughing, and it was just, they didn't need the adults to console anymore. They were able to do that on their own. And probably my favorite story is Sage. Sage is blind, and she also has hearing impairments, and it is very hard for her to trust anybody, adults included. You know, the world is a really scary place when you can't see what's out there and you don't know where you're going. And at the beginning, when we brought her into this brand new environment, I didn't even think I was going to get her down the hallway. We couldn't get her jacket off. We barely got her in the room. And, you know, gradually over time, she began trusting her buddies. She began holding their hands. She began, you know, when we first got there, we'd say, hey, look at your buddies are here, Sage. And she'd say, bye, buddies. Like, I'm done. I don't want to do this. And there was one day we got there and we said, Sage, your buddies are here. And she turned to the staff person and said, bye, Maggie. Because she was like, these are my friends and I don't need you to be with me anymore. I can be with my friends. And over time, she just let them direct her. She let them show her things. She let them help her experience the world. And at the very end, moving through space is really hard for her because she has to trust people that she's not going to bump into a wall or walk into something she doesn't know. And we didn't need to be with her at all. She let her buddies direct her and tell her where to go, and she trusted them that they were going to get her there, and she didn't need one of us. And, I mean, it was really an awesome evolution to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll let Kathleen talk about some of the goals for the Huckleberry Hills students.
I will tell you, when we started this, we didn't know we would get so much out of this. We thought we were being these great buddies, you know, for you guys. And it turned out that we benefited and our students benefited an incredible amount from this. And they still talk about it today. Last week, they were very upset, trying not to, it was very emotional, but they really learned a lot. And they'll tell other kids, they'll say, you know what, they're just second graders. They like what you like. They like what we like. They just learn in a different way. They're just like you and me. We you know, they like bubbles. They like playing with balls. They like Katy Perry. And they just had this really neat way. And I think all of the teachers, we learned that too, that just because they learn differently, they are second graders. We're all kind of in this. And I think that was the most wonderful thing. And the buddies that were able to come back to the classroom, and I will say, and we'll talk about this in a minute, that every child in second grade got to meet these children, which was awesome. So they got to know them, and there wasn't, so we did have to keep the same buddies throughout the whole year just because they got to know them so well, and they trusted them, and those friendships were so precious, and it was really important that we kept that. Our buddies tried things like, I remember one of the kids saying that if you had to press a device when it's your turn to pick a color, if you didn't see well but you could use a computer and press the color you wanted. Well, our kids would get a little frustrated because all of a sudden they wanted to press red, but 2 more colors went by, they weren't quick enough. Their buddies were so much better at it than they were. And then you can see on the right, they had these goggles, and the goggles were had tape on. Can you see the duct tape on them? And so they couldn't see as well. And that's really hard when your vision's blurred. Can you picture the swim goggles? And it's also, a lot of it's blurred. So it was hard for them to read. They really understood through his eyes that it is challenging. They can read, but it was really hard trying to focus and stay on that. And they also had to use, because of the fine motor skills, their elbows instead of their hands for the fine motor skills, and they were trying to pick things up, and they'll get a little discouraged. So they understood, and they kept saying to me, why don't we make something? Mrs. DeRosa, let's make something that makes it easier for them to pick things up. Why don't we make them a book that does this? And they really had some great ideas on what we could do when it got to be our turn to make story boxes, to make, we read them stories like Helen Keller and different people who learned in different ways. And every child in our class brought in something to do with 2 different books. So they could feel the bird seed, so they could feel the story and really be part of the story. But after the whole empathy piece and really understanding how they learned, every child was so committed to this. We had actually 4 boxes of each thing. We had so much bird seed, you know, we just used it all. But it was just so nice that they all wanted to be involved and they understood that they're just like us. They just learn differently. And I think that was a huge lesson, I think, for me, for all of us, really. It was a really amazing project. And that every single student in 2nd grade got to learn that and kind of feel that empathy and what it's like when you can't maybe see or walk or hear or have that same fine motor skills. When you're trying to paint a pumpkin, you can't do it the same way, but you still can paint the pumpkin. You know, you can still have it. So it was such an amazing program for us, and I think our kids, even the buddy song at the beginning, they couldn't wait. They memorized that song so fast, and they still have me sing it with them, and they just love it. And you know, some of the sign language and some of the different things. I think of this one little love in my class who just is going to create something to make their life easier. They just really were thinking of really neat ways to do that. And I just thought it was ingenious, and I think that it's a new appreciation, a new way to learn. So I thought that was great. So I don't even know which program benefited more from it. I mean, I feel like we did, but these girls worked hard, and it was just fabulous. We're proud of it.
So we're not going to play the whole video because I know we're probably way over time. But we had a little clip of the kids doing that hello song with some sign language. Oh, but it's a little slow.
Wicked slow.
So they got better at it than me. So I will say, you know, Stephanie and I really learned a lot from your kids, and we watched them change over the year, not just our kids, but them as well. And we were saying on the last day, like, we were sad for our kids that they weren't going to get to see their buddies anymore, but we were also sad for us because those kids became our kids too, and it was just a really wonderful experience for everyone. So thank you.
We want to say thank you to Linfield, and thank you, of course, to the Huckleberry Hill School, and to Brian and Kathleen. And I said I wouldn't sit up here and cry, but I mean, it really gave our kids opportunities that they never would have had. And, you know, I mean, our kids got to experience a gym for the first time. They got to be around friends and develop friendships. And, I mean, it's been absolutely amazing. And
our kids, too.
So we're so thankful for it. Thank you.
Any questions? I actually have one. Just curious, obviously the students had a rewarding experience, but professionally, were you guys able to learn anything from one another and approaching?
Should I even say this? I really enjoyed their school. I enjoyed working with them so much. I said, this is so weird, Brian, these guys are great. They got to come to Huckleberry, because I think Huckleberry's like the moon. I'm bad. I love Huckleberry. It's my family calls whatever, but I love it. I can't leave. I'll just tell you that. And I thought that they should come to our school, or I need to go to there. I just really enjoyed it. It was quite the partnership, and I feel like we just got so much out of it as teachers, as we never collaborate with we kind of do different kinds of curriculum, but we don't get to do this. And that whole empathy and compassion and learning how they teach and the amount of work they put into one book that they read to their class, we were really amazed by them and very impressed. And we learned a lot from them. We did. And I know I'm older, but I learned a lot from them, and it was really great. It was just such a win-win, and we can't take all night to talk about it, but for me personally and for everybody involved, it was great. It was a hard way to end. It was hard to end with them.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll keep going. We'll see. But.
Along those same lines, working with Kathleen was great. I mean, we did a lot of emailing back and forth. We also met with the entire second grade team. I mean, we had all the second grade teachers together with us, and there was a lot to be learned on both sides. We got a lot of really spectacular ideas from them as well, and just seeing your school and seeing how wonderfully compassionate everyone is. The kids were always welcoming. All of the staff was welcoming. They gave us rooms to use that were wonderful for the project. And
I don't think we went by anybody in the hallway who didn't say hi to us or wave or,
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing how welcoming they were. And
yeah, it was very eye-opening, I think. We don't always
Yeah.
get to work together that way.
I have heard about the program bits and pieces from Jane, and we've heard about a little bit about it from Brian. I'm just in awe of what I see here, and you know, it is such a special thing to be able to bring students in and get them into this type of environment, and on the other side, be able to teach compassion and understanding at such a young age. It's a gift that they will take with them for the rest of their lives. So I just really, more than anything, want to say thank you to all of you, to Brian, to the students at Huckleberry. This sounds like a real win-win for everyone.
All right, thank you. Can we follow up? Yeah, okay. Next on the agenda, we have professional development update.
Okay, so we're going to start, you have in your folder, you have all the professional development updates. Kara, are you presenting? So can you come up and present the preschool professional development? And the updates that you're going to hear tonight, so much of the presentations this year have really focused on professional development and the work that we've done in professional development. So the administrators and curriculum directors who are coming to the table are really going to give you a professional development update for the second half of the year.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I will just go through briefly the main topics for the professional development that the preschool teachers have participated in this year. We started off, I'm sorry, Jane, do you want me to go? Is that okay? We started off the year with our program director, Derek Munyon, facilitating a overall workshop training our paraprofessionals and teachers on the importance of facilitating language in the preschool classroom. And that was a one-day workshop just to model some of those techniques. Throughout the fall, we had new staff. We trained them on our special education software and what they need to use for developing IEPs and progress reports. We did cross over into some of the elementary PD when it was relevant. The elementary level will speak more about the Mahesh Sharma workshop. We did have some of our preschool staff attend that as well, which was heavily focused on math concepts and instructional strategies. Maureen Fennessy has presented throughout the year. We've really relied on her and her strength in the area of ELA to support our preschool staff in focusing on mastery learning at the preschool level and really unpacking those preschool standards to give our teachers a focus for their instruction, particularly in the area of literacy. We also had our staff participate in IEP training with Alan Bloom. We've had Alan Bloom in the district the past couple of years to really help our special education staff focus in on the way in which we're writing IEPs so that there is consistency across the district. And we wanted to bring that down to the preschool level as well. We've also continued our work with Linda Murphy from Peer Project. She is a consultant who, again, supports that facilitation of language amongst our students. Language is at the preschool level, the most important area for us to be focusing on, so we put a lot of work into that area. Maureen also worked closely with the preschool staff in the development of the preschool report card. That had been feedback we'd received in the past about having a really useful document that will give parents what they need to know about their students' progress. So a lot of time and effort was spent on that. as well as introducing the Foundation's preschool program to the classrooms, particularly the 4-year-olds, that allows us again to create that consistency with the elementary level. And for some of our students, again, Derek Munyon has worked particularly on the development of ABA programs and procedures for those students who need that. That was ongoing. And lastly, we just highlighted our work with the workshop with Dr. Brooks that was district-wide, and our preschool staff participated in that as well, which was an excellent and uplifting workshop for everyone to attend. Any questions at this point? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, now for elementary, Jen Tobias and Christina Noche.
Good evening. Christina Noche and I will be updating you on the PD from the midpoint of the year, just as Jane had said. And just to preface it, whenever we have professional development opportunities, we always solicit feedback from the staff, and then we use that feedback to kind of drive. We share it with the professional development committee, and then we use that feedback to kind of drive where we're going to go with the next PD in terms of tweaking it and fine-tuning it. So we started basically. We start with January. Christina's going to tell you about what they did with the science and math.
Like Jen said, we used that feedback to see that grades K1 and 2 really wanted some more time for planning their new science units that aligned with the new standards for this year. So in both January and February, they had grade level collaboration time between the two schools to work on new science units and also a little bit of tweaking of the math curriculum as well during that time.
And then also during that certain time too, in January, grades 3 and 4 were working on the benchmark assessment data, which we had filled you in before on that. And so what we're currently doing with that, we had an opportunity based on the feedback, who needed a little bit more time, what grade level was good with it. K1 and 2 were a little more familiar versus 3 and 4. So we're at the point now where they've had trainings, and at this point in the year, they're now assessing children, and all children are getting benchmarked by the end of the year. And that covers actually basically January and February.
February, yes.
And then in March, we had Dr. Brooks, as Kara just mentioned. Jane had brought him in as a district-wide initiative. Dr. Brooks is a leading speaker and author on the themes of resilience, motivation, school climate, a positive work environment, and family relationships. So he came, he talked to the staff about strengthening resilience and the morale among staff. We had the timely teacher reflection and growth, increased student motivation and resilience, and building a positive results-oriented school culture. And he really talked about that charismatic adult and then how we can kind of parlay that into what we do as our job as educators with students. There were follow-up discussions, conversations. Jane led a book group discussion because he's the author of the book, The Power of Resilience. And they had it over a course of about 6 weeks in which he put it out actually to all faculty and staff. And they had discussions about his book and how we function as resilient adults and how this plays into our adult lives. His book is all about achieving balance, confidence, and personal strength in your life. So a lot of the feedback from staff, because again, we had put out to staff, what were your thoughts and feelings on that? Is this something that you can actually apply to your professional experiences? And it was a lot of positive feedback about him. Then we moved into April. We had the vocabulary update, which I know the Maureen Fennessy had filled you all in at our last school improvement plan update. And we're in the beginning stages of the vocabulary piece of it, and that's also being brought forward to the school improvement plan for next year. Then in May, we did the school-based on conferences format at both elementary schools. This is a great opportunity for teachers to kind of, it gives them built in with our district strategy plan of having teacher leaders and teachers taking leadership roles. Teachers signed up for either a workshop that they wanted to be a part of and learn more about, or if they wanted to lead it. So there wasn't anyone in charge. We didn't say, you know, Christina, you have to run this one. It was more along the lines of teachers saying, I'd love to learn more about this, and someone could say, oh, I could help to teach that. We had some on conferences that ran, such as educating others on how to use Seesaw and iPad apps. There was even an evidence grid refresher course that some teachers were saying, you know, it's coming down time where I need to share my evidence. I want to make sure I've done it the right way. Case Science in Motion, where a couple of teachers reached out and said to Christina, we could really use support with this. So she worked collaboratively with some of the K teachers. And even our media center specialist stepped in and said, let's talk about the current trends in books. And we had a ton of teachers sign up for that because they wanted to know what's the latest and greatest in the media center. And when kids ask for books and what's of interest to them, here's some suggestions and such I can offer. And then our last meeting for professional development was in June, and in both schools we do the planning for student placement. It's an opportunity for all the teachers that are sending kids to the next level to talk to the receiving teachers. It gives an opportunity for teachers to collaborate and kind of get them a bird's eye view of what their class structure is going to look like for next year, so we can start to do some planning. Actually, out of some of those meetings, it actually parlayed itself into Summer Institute and some teachers getting together and working collaboratively to get a step ahead on what they want to work on for next year. And it helps to plan for transitions. So, and that was basically about it. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then at the middle school, we're going to have Katie Ambrose and Kate Robertson come to the table, and they will share the most recent updates from the middle school.
Good evening. Katie and I are pleased to share the LMS Professional Development update with you tonight. This year, our Professional Development Committee met at the beginning of the year as well as monthly. At the beginning of the year, we really reviewed the district strategy and solicited staff feedback to plan our professional development for the year. The three major recurring topics, as you'll see from our document, were curriculum mapping, literacy strategies that included a comprehension strategy review, as well as vocabulary routines and instruction, and technology. The PD committee, following each of these PD days, met. They surveyed the faculty on the effectiveness of the PD that day, and then we adjusted plans going forward for the year. Tonight we'll mainly be highlighting the PD from the second half of the year, as Jane had mentioned, which begins at the bottom of the first page of your document.
We spent 3 early release professional development days and half of the October full PD day working on curriculum mapping using Atlas. Teachers worked at their grade level departments to continue the process of mapping. Some teachers were continuing their work on stages 1, 2, and 3, while others were revising and fine-tuning their units. We're at the point where every subject at every grade level in the middle school has a map in various stages of completion that is accessible to all LMS staff members. And we're very excited to guide the rest of the district through this process.
What I'm most excited about during our PD this year was the way we were able to build leadership capacity among our staff members. Our December 23rd PD half day was entirely staff-led, similar to the conference day in June that Jen had mentioned at the elementary school. We polled our staff, really focusing on the district strategy, areas of curriculum instruction, assessment and accountability, and meeting the needs of all students. And we said, what do you need? They came up with a list, and then we turned that list back to the staff and asked who would be willing to volunteer to not only plan an hour-long session, but to also lead it with faculty members attending. So we had about 14 different sessions that ran, or workshops rather, that ran within 3 different sessions, led by all different faculty members. We had different workshops ranging from Google applications from the beginner range to using Google Classroom for beginners, but then more advanced applications through Google. We had some formative assessment workshops, technology workshops using things like Kahoot and Plickers. We also had mindfulness, where teachers learned how to incorporate mindfulness routines into their daily lessons and in their own professional practice. We had also the Socratic seminar that I've presented to you earlier this year. We've had teachers from the English department lead that to show other departments what that's all about. So that was very exciting, and we just had such a variety, and teachers were really empowered to take on that role. And I thank them for all the hours that they put in extra to plan for their colleagues. As outlined in our school improvement plan, February 3rd and April 6th were dedicated to improving vocabulary instruction. We continued to build the leadership capacity as we had our literacy coaches from the different grade levels and disciplines help plan the sessions, as well as actually present and lead the sessions with Katie and myself on April 6th. And I'd really like to thank and acknowledge our Keys to Literacy Comprehension and Vocabulary coaches. They were trained last year and began this process, and they've continued working with us and with our staff this year. They're from grade 6 English, Mary Kachaputi, grade 8 Science, Adam Stahl, the STEM director, Katie Ambrose. Exploratory and foreign language was represented by Jessica Strihalik. Special education, Wendy Leone. And we had grade 7 English, Krista Wright, and grade 5 English, Lindsay Doyle. Katie is going to share about our Redeker training that we combined with the high school in our June day.
So we spent our June professional development time learning about Redeker Teacher Plus, which is replacing our current grading platform GradeQuick and Edline. We had a representative from Redeker show the teachers, along with the high school teachers, as Kate had mentioned, the ins and outs of the new program. And teachers had the opportunity to ask questions about the new program and take a look at what it's going to look like for the fall. And we have 2 teachers that are going to receive and have already received some additional training on Redeker. So Courtney Spencer and Alex Salucci are going to be our super users, and they've already started creating their documents to share with the staff to help support that transition. So we're grateful for the training that we were able to get, and as well as the guidance that those 2 will definitely help provide for us.
And now we're happy to answer any questions you might have about our PD this year in the document in front of you.
Kate and Katie, thank you. Regarding vocabulary, how about a definition of power words?
A power words, like the tier 2. Well, there's a tiering. I can go into real depth. The power words that we're talking about at the elementary school and the middle school, we're kind of coining it as that. They'd be more of your tier 2 if you're looking at the tiering of vocabulary words. They'd be your high frequency words that aren't the obvious words that every student would know. That would be your tier 1. They kind of transcend your academic domains. So one might be analyze, observe. So you can see that those words could go in multiple subjects, but we definitely have our work ahead of us.
Tapping higher levels of cognition.
Yeah.
Exactly. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. And last to the table tonight is Bob Clary, and he is going to share with you the update for professional development at the high school.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. First, I'd just like to thank our PD committee. Obviously, Kevin does a great job with them, and the chairperson of that committee, Audrey Coates, have worked really hard all year long and over the last couple of years to put together a lot of the PD that we do. It varies in what we do, but I think if you look at the January update, at that point, we were really working on our NEASC. Our 5-year report was due in March. So the committees all got together. We had a shared document that everyone was working and doing their parts to make sure we filled in all that information, addressed all the recommendations that were made. And then we were able to finish several recommendations at that point in time, and the staff was able to vote on that and ratify that. And then Kevin and his crew got together on putting that together and submitting that report in the beginning of March. And we recently received in April their report back from NEASC that accepted that 5-year report with several commendations on what we had there, and then talking about what we need to do moving forward for the next 5 years. Jumping into February, we ended up using February for a couple different things. We did obviously there's some kind of debriefing from common assessments, so there's a lot of analysis of results from the midterm exams at that point in time that had just finished a week or 2 prior to that. The other part of that was also following up with some of our collaborative projects. So one of the things that we've really looked at this year, you heard about it earlier in the year and it continued through the second part of the year, was being able to work on collaborative projects. So teachers would get together in different groups. If they had an idea, they would present that, they would work on it. Then each of those projects had some sort of producing a product at the end, and those were presented out in smaller groups that we were able to share. And I think one of the things you've probably seen in the past that like a physics teacher and the music teacher got together and they actually built musical instruments, and they talked about the physics of how those instruments worked. It was a great collaboration and interdisciplinary project. So it's things like that that happened through there. March, you've already heard Dr. Brooks came in. That was a district-wide day for professional development. Then we get into April and May. For us, were pretty similar. We did a lot of tiered learning. We had multiple projects, multiple topics. As we looked at, a lot of it was based on increasing teacher productivity. And then we also looked at tech integration. And then from there, we also did an awful lot of discussion groups. So being able to break up, and it's almost different groups that teachers had a choice into what they could go to, what they could participate in. And a lot of these were all run by the staff themselves. So again, when we talk about our district strategy and we look at trying to develop teacher leadership, we've got a wealth of information in the building itself. So we were able to do anything from teacher productivity with Gmail, calendar, kind of all the different features that happen there. So our tech integration specialists were able to come in. Our special ed department was able to talk about compliance. One of the biggest things we always talk about is the difference between accommodations and modifications. And that was super helpful for our gen ed teachers to really see what exactly is going on and what the difference is there to better comprehend what needs to happen in order to kind of meet the needs of all of our students as we look at that. I think in the May especially, there was a number of different things as we looked at using tech integration for multimedia resources for the classroom. We looked at different ways to use that with formative assessment, which was really helpful for a lot of teachers. And even within that discussion groups, we talked about rethinking grading. We've had a lot of discussion over the last couple of years about the use of zeros and kind of make-up work and how we kind of address grading and give students the opportunity to show proficiency. And I think there was a lot of really important discussions there, and certainly there's a lot of viewpoints. I think everywhere you go, it's much like we talked earlier about schedules. There's a million different ways to do this. And if there was a perfect way, everybody would be doing it. But I think everyone has different ideas, and I think given the certain circumstances, there are different ways to grade that are appropriate and make sense. Along with that came, we've had over the last year or so, especially with the success of Scott Gordon's sustainability class, there's an awful lot of now cross-curricular discussion about project-based learning and being able to apply some of the things that Scott has used there. And now the foreign language department, the social studies department, the math department have talked to Scott, and we've had a lot of staff talk and staff development on how we can incorporate more project-based learning into the curriculum. And then when you look at June, again, you just heard from the middle school that we were involved with Teacher Plus training at that point in time. And like the middle school, the high school also has 2 super users that will be kind of the go-to people that have had additional training. And again, a lot of that, it was great to hear that, the professional development from Redeker, that because Grade Quick used to work with Redeker quite a bit, the Teacher Plus part that's coming in is not super different from what they've been used to. So I think the teachers felt pretty comfortable with what happened, and they've had an opportunity to kind of play with it a little bit. And as we continue to move forward, we'll look at how to upgrade kind of our teacher portal, the student portal, and the parent portal. So if you have any questions, be glad to address them. Great. Thank you very much.
Next item on our agenda is the superintendent's report.
Okay, so I have 2 things on the report tonight. The first one is, I guess going in the theme of recognizing people, I would like to recognize St. Mary Vidaro. She is a literacy teacher from the elementary schools, and she received the 2016 Celebrate Literacy Award from the Phyllis Allen Smith North Shore Reading Council. And so she was presented with this probably about 6 weeks ago. So I just publicly wanted to acknowledge her for receiving this award. She's been part of the North Shore Reading Council for quite some time now. She works very close with Maureen Fennessy at both of the elementary schools. So congratulations to her. And the second item on my report tonight is announcing the fact that we have a new assistant principal at the high school. So I have hired Brian Bates for this position. Bob put together a great screening committee, a great interview committee, and they put Brian Bates forward to me. I met with him a couple of weeks ago. He is going to be an amazing addition to the high school. He has a Master's of Education in Administration from UMass Lowell, and he has a Bachelor of Science Communications and Media from Fitchburg State. He comes to us from Lawrence Public Schools, where he has pretty much spent his entire career. He has been there since 2007. He was an English teacher. He was a team chair. He was an assistant principal, and he currently is a school director principal of the grade 9 academy. So how they do it in Lawrence is he is in charge of the grade 9 students. He has 350 students. I believe he has about 80 faculty members that he supervises and evaluates. So he's coming to us with a great knowledge of curriculum and assessment and teacher evaluation. And I think that he will be a great complement to what we already have at the high school. I think he's going to be great value added to our administrative leadership team. And we're really excited about July 1 to get him here and on board. So I want to report on that tonight.
Great, and seeing no public participation, we'll skip over that. And before we get to matters of action, just a real quick note, I just want to let the community know that tonight the school committee signed a contract with Jane to extend her out to June 30th, 2019. So the committee recognizes that she has done great work, expects great work going in the future, and so we decided to extend her contract. On the balance, the committee is welcome to make comments as well as if you want, and if not, we'll move on to other matters for action.
I just want to say it was a very prudent choice, Jane. Thank you.
Okay, so we have one matter for action. We have the school improvement plans for 2016-17. Each one needs to be voted individually, so if we can parcel those out, we can get some motions going and get those voted on.
Move to approve the 2016-2017 preschool improvement plan.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Move to approve the 2016-2017 Summer Street School improvement plan.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Move to approve the Huckleberry Hill School 2016-2017 school improvement plan.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Move to approve the 2016-2017 middle school improvement plan.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Move to approve the 2016-2017 high school improvement plan.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.